everybody, and welcome to Rise Tribe podcast. And it is number 11. Can you even believe it? And how amazing. We started our podcast journey with the beautiful Lisa Hawkyard, and we come to number 11 podcast, and we have the return of Lisa Hawkyard. How are you, darling? How are things?
Good. Oh, really good. Thank you. Thank you for asking me back, actually.
Wow.
Thank you.
Well, we really want to know all about what went on in Thailand with you and Sam. So that sounds really, really dodgy, but we had
What
happens in Thailand stays in Thailand.
Sam, do you want to say anything towards that before we get started?
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Lisa, thanks so much for being here. I just want to add as well, it was like our last podcast we did with you, we really sort of touched in on your story, and we spoke a little bit about Thailand and what we did out there and that part of your journey. So I am super excited to dive into this with you. And also what's coming next, because that's just like super exciting. So because I'm gonna hand this over to you pretty much to do your interview magic with us and ask away anything you want to know.
Fabulous. So thank you for that, ladies. Oh, I've got the chair. So let's start off with, so Sam's been doing this amazing hands-on, what would you call it, Sam? I want to call it hands-on healing, but what would you say you could, if you could name it?
It's kind of, natural health practitioner, mixed modality body work, focusing on, well, I didn't intend on focusing on sort of deeper trauma release, but that seems to be where I'm guided to go and where I'm naturally placed with people. That's but mixed modality specialist body work.
Okay, beautiful. And I love the fact that you've literally been guided, and it wasn't where we intended to go, but that's where it seems to be leading you, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's what Sam was doing. We were just saying a year ago, you were out in Thailand, creating magic, come from Mexico, off to Thailand, and then Lisa books a flight to come out to see you, to have some body work. So Lisa, what was the intention for going out there? Why? What brought you to that place to?
So I am a little bit of a off the cuff adventurer. I can be very stagnant and then suddenly like, right, let's go. So Sam had been in Mexico for quite some time and had been mentioning this work that she was doing, and it sounded amazing and fascinating. And I'm no word of a lie, it was getting on for nearly a year where Sam was saying like Mexico, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna start saving, etc. And it just got to the point where I was just about to book my flights for Mexico, and Sam literally rang me. I thought, and as I was thinking, oh, I haven't done my flights. And she said, have you booked your flights for Mexico? And I was like, no, I'm sorry, I'm going to do it today. She went, don't. I was like, what? She went, I'm going to Thailand. I was like, what? I'm coming. It's like that. It, literally, because it's like, sorry, this looks a bit strange on camera, but I actually have Buddhas everywhere in my home. Here's one I made.
Wow.
So as soon as Sam mentioned Thailand, it was just like, it was a no-brainer. It was like, right, I'm doing it. So I don't know if there was a resistance to Mexico at the time. I have no idea what it was, but it was just like, right, I am coming. Just give me a Buddha. I am coming. So I think it was more the point of up sticks and just disappearing on an adventure. I've come to a point in my journey, whatever you want to call it, where I knew certain things had to be released. There was just like I was moving forward, but something just kept pulling me back, and it was usually to do with trauma experiences in my life that had created a lot of stagnancy, maybe. And I've known Sam for quite some time, and I trust her implicitly, and I know that I'm safe with her. And I always thought I was quite an open person, but then having experienced what I've experienced, I now know that I'm much more open, if that makes sense. So I just felt Sam, I knew she would guide me. I knew I'd be safe. I knew it'd be an adventure, which I love an adventure, like I say. I knew it was time just to put everything else on the back burner for, I think I came for 3 weeks, didn't I, Sam? It was 3 weeks. Just for 3 weeks. And that was massive for me. I think I touched on it last time. It was such a big step to just go, right, everyone, I'm going for 3 weeks. Not like you're going away and I'll be at home. I'm going away for 3 weeks. Everything, literally everything was put on hold. And that scared the life out of me, but it also gave me a bit of a thrill at the same time as well. But it was more, going back to your question, it was more, I just have to do this. It wasn't a non-negotiable. I have to do it. I have to go and do this. I just have to do it.
So Lisa, do you mind me asking, and you can
Absolutely.
do this if you don't want to, you know, just to help other people, you know, that may have gone through sort of similar to you, what sort of experiences and trauma do you feel led you to getting out there?
So
prior to that,
the most recent, which I think quite a lot of your audience will relate to this, was going through the menopause. And going through the menopause, you know, it's not called change for nothing. You do change. And I am right through the other side of it. Starting my menopause like very young after surgery, literally. So I've gone right through it, and it was like, I can't be that person anymore. Who is she? Who even is she? And also, it was almost like I've done a lot of therapy over the last few years, and I'm now understanding myself in different parts. So there's those parts of me that were traumatized through a very emotionally abusive marriage, financially abusive, psychologically, you name it. And those parts of me hadn't healed. Lisa had stepped through a lot of it, but she hadn't really acknowledged the depth, because I've been bringing up two young children, if that makes sense. Yeah. So that was probably the main thing. I'd also had another breakup just before lockdown, which was completely different type of relationship, but we just grew apart. And there was a lot of, on my part, a lot of guilt, almost shame, for upsetting what looked like it was a very comfortable, okay, everything was just fine, and obviously it's like I blew it out of the water. So it's taken a lot of a lot of emotions and dealing with that as well. Childhood, a situation. I don't want to go into that too much, but a 30-year span of something that wasn't very healthy, and I needed to deal with that as well. So all these parts of me were just like symbols clashing, and yet there's this Lisa going through into her, midlife, whatever you want to call it, thinking, God, like what? Something's holding me back. I felt like something's constantly holding me back, and I still feel like that a little bit now, but in a completely different context, if that makes sense. And also being a mum, like my kids are now 26 and 22, and suddenly it's like, oh wow, like bang, how did that happen? How did I even manage to bring up two gorgeous human beings with the most beautiful hearts? But how did I actually do it? It's like I haven't had time to breathe, Kirsty. I think that's what it is. I have not had time to catch a minute for me, because it's always been, and this is not a resentful thing, but it has always been about somebody else. And not for 1 second have I just gone, right, stop, it's you, it's about you, But I think the catalyst of all of this is probably the fact that Sam and I do have a really beautiful, trusting friendship, and I know I can tell her anything and she won't judge me. I'm so bloody safe with her, it's unbelievable. That's huge for me, to trust. And other life experiences that we've had, like my daughter's career, trust has been huge for me, or not trusting has been huge. Yeah. So but I think the catalyst for it all has been going into my 50s and menopause, because suddenly it's like, who even am I? Who am I? You know, I think that's a big thing.
I just want to say as well, for me, watching you go through that process before coming, and it was so interesting because there was a stall for Mexico.
Oh, massive.
Like it was really interesting. And as soon as I said, "Don't book, it's Thailand," she's like, "Oh, okay, great." It was a flipping energy. It's very interesting. So I'm forever grateful for Thailand for that as well. It's like it gave you that springboard to come. But watching your journey of getting there though, and I think you didn't have a choice because you were being called to it, but just seeing you traverse through that was super interesting. And we had the odd call where you were really, really struggling with bits and pieces. But I think when you say that, like the turning 50, like you'd got to a point where there was no other way through, I think. And you were just so ready to let go. And it was magical just to witness your journey from the UK to Thailand, let alone what happened when you got there. So
I mean, gosh, there were some adventures even over there, weren't there? And it was just, and it's mad because it's like I look back now. So we're coming up to the year, and I look back now, and I'm still processing because things happen. I was thinking, oh, that used to really bother me, but I really don't care about that anymore. And how did I allow that to affect me? You know, as much as like my landlady, my Airbnb landlady, you know, I had a bit of a run-in with her and one of the guys next door. And I look back now and I'm thinking, if that ever came up, I'd be like, how dare you? Don't you speak to me like that? Do you know what I mean? It just yeah, it's just crazy. And also, sorry, go on.
No, go on. I just want to say that was a magical process within the process.
Yes.
And if you're happy to touch on that in a little while.
Yeah, absolutely.
Watching you walk through that, because it was then connected to the release work that you were doing. I mean, we say this all the time, you just can't write this shit. But actually it was so obviously necessary.
I think one of the biggest things that I've kind of learned over the years, and I know you girls will know this too, but polarity, there has to be this polarity. Nothing's lopsided. You know, something really awful happens, then something absolutely flipping amazing happens, or something amazing happens, then something awful happens. There's always this like scales constantly balancing out. And this particular experience, that it was that happened within half an hour of having probably one of the most intense sessions with Sam. Like you couldn't make it up. It was how would I put it? Deep. It was really a massive trauma release, massive. And then within half an hour, I was presented with a situation that was just like, you want to be healed? Are you sure? Let's see if you're healed. Try this. And I was like, and it was triggering beyond belief. I had to literally leave the premises for the night. I was absolutely, I'm saying it with a smile now, but I was petrified. I was absolutely petrified because I got challenged by this person that literally was so many parts of him were just parts of my life that I just tried to be going into.
Released on and were processing. And when we say you can't write this shit, it was literally within such a short space amount of time. So but what a gift.
Oh yeah, but you were saying that to me on that night and I was thinking, really?
Like, you don't want to hear it at the time, do you? This is such a gift when you're going through it. But now can you see it that thank you for all that?
I could see it the next morning, but I think if Sam had been a different person, I wouldn't have listened. But because it was Sam and I knew I could trust her, I knew I was safe, I knew she had my best interests at heart, she knew me inside out, then it was, if it hadn't been Sam in that moment, it might have been somebody else, blah, blah, I'd have been thinking, yeah, right. But I was like, no, listen to Sam because everything's been on point so far, if that makes sense.
Brilliant. I mean, so can I go to Sam? How do you prepare for a client coming over? Because okay, you know Lisa, you've known her for some time, and you've known stuff that's gone on in her world, but you have got, and I'm guessing, no idea what's going to come up when you do your work, i.e. get your elbows into those places in the body and to release it. So how do you even prepare for that, Sam?
I think thank you, Chris. That's a really good question. And you don't know what's coming. Like, I know Lisa really well, but we don't know what's stored in our tissues. I would say it's really down to the amount of work I have gone through and done on my own body to witness myself release so much trauma and be held by people that were able to hold that space. And also all the previous work, like the last 10 or so years of all the different courses I've done, all of the circles I've sat in, all of the healing modalities that I've practiced. None of them really made sense at the time, and like, you kind of get that feeling that people just think you're a course junkie and you're a bit of a nut at what you're doing. But each experience builds upon your own experience of that. And I really do think that if I hadn't have walked the path myself, I wouldn't have the knowing of how to do that. So it's because I've gone in and I felt it myself. I think that's probably the main thing. And I've been really blessed to have amazing mentors and trainers and just and go through it. And I think also the breast explant that I went through brought out some of the deepest childhood traumas for me, and having that work done, and actually then working on Sharon, who went through it as well, and seeing all of that trauma release. I've just immersed, I think it's immersion, guys, is where I'm getting to with that. And I've immersed myself, and now I know why I stayed in Mexico and didn't come back to the UK and go back to work and do all of those things, because now I'm getting to do what I'm doing. I wouldn't be this well equipped if I hadn't have spent that time doing it. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Lisa, sorry, did you want to?
No, it's fine. I was just agreeing. I get where Sam's coming from.
Yeah, no, like what you've been, we were talking about this in a previous podcast. It's about you walking that path first, experiencing it, gain the knowledge for it, so that you can then turn around and hold out your hand and say, "Come with me. I've walked this." So and I think that just brings so much validity to what you do, Sam, because you've been there, done that, put that t-shirt on and said, yeah, I've been there, and puts Lisa in a really good position.
I think what Sam's just said about immersion as well, environment is key. So the fact that you've stayed put, I came over, I didn't just come for 5 days, a week. I literally committed to it. I mean, I'm coming to Mexico next month for 4 weeks.
Yeah, I know, it's amazing.
I know. So, and I'm having kittens about, because I've added an extra week on, I'm having kittens about that now. So it's like, it's always got to be something, hasn't it, just to unsettle you. But I think it's just taking yourself, removing yourself, popping yourself where you need to be, or are called to be, whatever you want to call it, in that moment with the people.
It's those words that you said, Lisa, are disappearing off on an adventure. I mean, it's hard to say, but you would not have had the same experience if you were having the treatment in your living room. You wouldn't. It's removing yourself. That's why retreats are so powerful, isn't it?
Definitely. And it's like, I had my own accommodation, and it was, I was, quite concerned. And I think I probably picked up on the fear of my family and friends, because like, are you going to be okay? And, how do you know it's going to be safe? And I can honestly say I've never felt so safe in a country. It was just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. But it was, for me as well, it was taking myself away. It was getting my little scooter, riding off on my scooter, doing my own thing, because I spent, a fair amount of time on my own, which I love my own company. I went and did Muay Thai kickboxing. I just sat and watched it. It was just like, little old me. Like suddenly everyone's going, where have you gone? Where are you? What are you doing? And I've come back, I've been to Thailand. Who did you go with? Myself. Just there's probably a little bit of a shock factor in there as well. There's part of me that loves to just go, well, why not? I just did it,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
But also something to be really like proud of, hun, because you did it. It's amazing. And I think this whole thing about immersion, like you can do it a long way round, and absolutely you can. But to remove yourself from your environment, from the people that expect you to be a certain way, from the patterns and the programs that we all live in, really, it just speeds up the process. And it's not like you then go home and it's done, because you then have to go and sit back in those programs and kind of look at yourself and feel into your new being and how to then interact in the world. So there's stuff that happens after that as well, which is all part of it. But immersion for me really is a catapult. It's gonna take you faster and further for sure.
I agree. And I think as well to come back. Now where am I trying to go with this? If I don't even know who I was before because I came back a completely different person. And I can see the programming now. Like I know when you first went to Mexico, Sam, you spoke about this a lot, and I'd be thinking, don't quite know what you mean, but I kind of get what you mean. Whereas now I'm like, I really get what you mean now, because there's certain things that I do, and I'm like, well, I question myself. I'm kind of, there's two of me. I kind of remove myself and look in on old Lisa and new Lisa, and I just think, okay, no, I don't want to do that anymore. And I'm like, did I really say that? Whereas before I'd have just been a bit of a people pleaser, and I'm not saying that has gone completely, because it hasn't, but I'm much more vocal or much less available.
That's a lovely way of putting it. Much less available.
Yeah.
And also, I think just a key component to reflect on there, which you've done lots of work on, is when you say the old Lisa, it's about just having a bit of a curiosity. And there's no judgment. There's only sort of, like we spoke about this before, there's only gratitude for who we were and all the protections we had in place, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what they were. And then meeting that with self-love and
Yeah.
loving who we were, loving who we are, and then it's like curious.
Yeah, because it's like she didn't know any different. And you have to meet people where they are at, not where you're at. So it's almost like I've separated myself into all these little parts, and it's like this part looks at that part and just think, wow, she just did the best that she could in the circumstances that she could have. So whereas for many years I used to beat myself up a lot, but I didn't know any different, or I'd feel run down by other people's words, whereas now it's like, who do you think you're talking to? Excuse me? No, thank you. Move along. I'm not even going to give you my energy. Off you pop. Bye. See ya.
Can I ask you, where do you think that part of you not accepting certain things has come from now?
Do you want me to be graphic?
Yeah.
All those bloody bruises from having that trauma released from my body. And I'm saying this in a way because everyone responds differently to the treatment that Sam does. For me, where I was at, I released so much that I'm shocked. Even now, I'm like, what? About how much of other people's energy, spitefulness, words I'd allowed, didn't know any difference. So that's why I forgive myself. It's fine.
Yeah.
But the fact that I saw physically, energy just is, isn't it? But to physically see what that energy was doing to my body by it coming out in a certain manner, that was like, no chance. That is not happening ever again. I will never, ever, ever allow myself to be treated to the depths that I was treated or allowed, whatever you want to call it. And there's no blame, no anything. That's where it's come from. It's like, no chance. And also for me, And again, everyone has their own experiences, but for me, some of it was painful emotionally, but physically as well. So why would I let anyone's words hurt me like that again? Because that is a reflection of them, not of me, you know. And I stand by, and this is one thing, and I could cry over this one. I'm so grateful to myself through all of these things that have happened in my journey. I've still stayed true to myself, and I'm still a really bloody lovely person. And I always still see the best in people, even the abusers. I've still tried to see the best, and now I don't now, because I'm like, no, we can all choose to change. But I've always stayed true to my heart, and that is something I am so flipping grateful for me, you know. So yeah, going back to your question, the bruises, just the, and also what we have to touch on the singing.
We do.
So let me explain. When you have these treatments, I don't know if this happens with anybody else, but I was laughing, I was crying, I suddenly started singing songs. But they were so, because I was very much like, you know what, I'm here, in for a penny, in for a pound. I don't know anyone in Thailand, so it doesn't matter what I sing or what comes out of my mouth when I'm having these treatments. I was going back to nursery rhymes from when I was a little girl.
Yeah.
There was another point. Do you remember, Sam? And I started going, dun, 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 and I was going, what is that song? And it kept coming up. And then it was literally, I was on my own, I think, and I suddenly went, oh, it's the Archers. Well, that is what my gran and granddad used to listen to, my pop and gran, going way back in Liverpool in God knows what year, 1971, 2. And I'm suddenly singing the Archers theme tune because Mum and Dad didn't listen to the Archers. I'm like thinking, how has that just come out of my mouth while I'm in Thailand and I'm in my 50s? What the hell? So it was just crazy.
Was that just energy that was caught, energy that was caught up in your body that was being released, and was it energy from, you know, we don't know, do you? But was that energy from a childhood that was being released, and that's what came with that experience?
But it was so weird because I have nothing but happy memories of Pop and Gran. Do you know what I mean? So I think the thing is, I think we are programmed to try and, it's the word logicite, like make everything logical. Why does that happen? Why? It doesn't bloody matter.
It makes sense.
Yeah, it's like last Sunday we were meant to record this, weren't we? And I just really was not in a good place. I was like, I don't know what the matter is, and I'm not going to try, but I just know I'm off. I can't. Whereas that now, absolutely fine. But you have to just let these things release wherever you're at, you know.
And that's really, sorry, Kirst, that's something that I've really noticed with you, darling, is you implementing your boundaries and being good with that. It's perfectly okay to say no.
Yeah.
Not right now.
Yeah. And there is part of me, I get a little bit minxy. I'm like, I say, no, I won't be able to do that. Did I really say that? And I'm just
so cute.
But I don't show it. Afterwards I think to myself, oh, that wasn't so bad, was it? Oh, I'll try that again next time. Or I'll have like little sayings, you know, like one of mine is, I won't be able to do that. Not like, oh, well, I've just got to go to the shops and I've got to do this and didn't. It's like, no, I won't be able to do that. In my head, it's going all over the place.
That's fabulous. Well, that's very clear, and it's not. There's nothing aggressive in there. It's just, no, I won't be able to do that.
Yeah, you know.
You feel, Lisa, you can now speak your truth. Like you speak your truth. Yeah, because there's still little bits and bobs where it's coming, because I don't think you can go through something like that and then suddenly bam, you've changed. It's still things are still dropping in, you know, as you practice things, you think, oh, that didn't feel quite right for me, so I'll try something different next time. But yeah, I'm just, yes, it's a good feeling. And I think as well, I might have mentioned this before, you know, my friendship group round where I live, they're much more accepting of me because I'm much more open about what I did. I mean, a couple of them were like, I showed them like sort of some of the stuff that we've done, and because I took some pictures and things, and they were mortified because
But from their perspective, I looked like I'd been beaten up. But from my perspective, I was like, look at this, I've got rid of all this stuff. And they're like, oh, go. And like one of my friends' partners, like, she's not coming. Because I was saying, oh, she'd just love it. No, absolutely no way is she coming if she gets bruised like that. But it's not that, it's the release of this stuff that we carry. It's like slime that we carry inside of us. And then it's like, it's coming out, but it doesn't matter how it's coming out. It could be, like I say, crying, shouting, laughing. I think I did pretty much everything, every emotion.
You really did. And it was so incredible for me as your friend and a practitioner to witness your process. It was just amazing. The courage, Lisa, was just so phenomenal. And I'm just going to touch on the bruising so people have
I think
an understanding of
How about just sharing with people like what it is you actually do? Because it's all, it's like, oh, this sounds incredible. And the bruise, what is it that you actually do? How do you work with somebody?
So the majority of the treatments we did with Lisa were a deep tissue therapy called non-surgical, which is elbow work. And a lot of the time it was soft on it, although it didn't feel soft in touch in where it was going. So we had consultation before Lisa came. There was a whole nutrition plan to follow and self-love work and all of this preparation work to reduce inflammation and release toxicity from the body. The more toxic we are emotionally, physically, all of those things, the more you will bruise, even if it's a light touch. So when I first started in Mexico, I was literally bruised. And I had the same, I said, because once you understand what's going on with the body, you're like, this is amazing, this is coming out, this is so cool. And I would send pictures to people and they'll go, oh my God, what is going on? I'm like, oh no, that's just toxicity. And they just couldn't get it. But now I have worked and I do not bruise. So it is literally until you've cleared some of this stuff, until you've got your nutrition to a point where you're as clean as you can be. I don't bruise unless I really whack myself these days. I used to bruise just by looking at a table edge. So that's the difference. And also it is the emotional toxicity coming out. So some people bruise, some people go into a healing crisis, like flu-like symptoms. And literally some people had to go to bed for 3 days in the courses because they were floored from the toxicity coming out in a different way. They might not have bruised, but they showed their release in a different way. So when we talk about the bruising, people get scared and they think that there's some kind of harm being done. It's really not. I'm never going to go in deeper than is required. And I can go a lot deeper than I went on Lisa, especially with guys that are really muscly and I'm in doing rehab work. I'm in way, way deeper and they don't necessarily bruise because they're not releasing that kind of trauma. So,
Right.
yeah.
And I would just say as well, when Sam and I were working together, we had a code. So, and I just had to say a certain word and Sam would stop straight away. So it wasn't, there was never, it was totally led by both of us. It was amazing, very safe.
For me as a practitioner, it's a two-way energy exchange and the client is in full control of everything. And also when I start, I'm like, just experience the level, like you have your pain threshold. We are meeting pain with pain to release it, absolutely. Some of the other modalities that I now do also work on that, which Lisa gets to experience this time around. Woohoo! It's going to be amazing. But it's as soon as the elbow comes off, the physical pain stops.
Yeah, completely.
It just goes away. It's incredible, and I wouldn't know this unless I'd done it myself, right? So it's.
And Sam, you can actually feel the energy in there, can't you?
Yeah. I'm now the way I learn methodically to begin with, and I've got reams of notes of the exact process, and then once I've got it was the same with Pilates. Once I've got it, then I'm in intuition, and then I just move with the body. And now I'm doing advanced reflexology. I'm getting a lot more energetics, as in I'm seeing energy in a different way. feeling it, and also, can we talk about your treatment you gave me, Lise?
Oh, yes.
So this is so lovely. I just want to touch on one other thing with Lise, actually, and if there's anything else you want to share, Lise, about your treatments. Is Lisa came for 3 weeks and she had 22 hours of body work in 3 weeks. Now that is immense. That's a lot of body work. And that is what it is to do an immersion and get the level of transformation that Lisa has given herself, basically, by doing that. But everyone's completely different. Everyone has different time frames, and it can always be worked around the individual's requirements and needs. But if you can do it, it's super worth it, I would say.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
So Lisa, share with us what treatment you gave Sam. I didn't know about this.
Yeah, well, we obviously we have a really strong friendship, and let's go back to the polarity. So obviously Sam was treating me, and then I'd be like floored and tired and whatever, and then it might be the next day or whenever, and then Sam was dealing with some stuff of her own while we're there. And because of the friendship, it wasn't practitioner and client. And there was, I think it was a day or two after, and I was like, "You're not right. What is it? You know, what is it?" And I was really tuning in on Sam, and it was just outside. I had this lovely little like bungalow, type bungalow, and I was just literally, and I think in that moment I was so strongly guided. I don't know what the word is, but I was just like, Sam, I just really need to do some Reiki on you. And I'm very blessed with light language, and which is kind of speaking in whatever you want to call it. Some people call it speaking in tongues, channeling, etc., etc. And I go through phases, literally go through phases of it. And I was just so drawn. I was like, Sam, I just really need to do this on you. So it was like a complete role reversal. So it was lovely, wasn't it? And we had bean bags. I had bean bags on the balcony where I was. It was very private. And Sam was exhausted mentally and emotionally. And you just lay there, and the old sage was saging massively, wasn't it? Do you remember the sage? It's like saging everywhere. It's like, all right, let's get the sage out. And I just, again, intuitively just sort of worked around Sam, doing Reiki, speaking my dialect that's now changed of light language. And again, it was almost like there was part of me that was thinking, am I actually just making this up? Am I just playing at this? Like, and it was almost like I was like, no, I'm not. But I felt like I was playing it, because in that moment I was seeing Sam as the guide, professional, etc., and me just there, if that makes sense. And it was like, and then it was only afterwards that you said you felt the benefits, etc. And I was just like, do you know what? A lot of this is about really just setting intentions for the best for people, and whatever comes up. And if it's all coming from, what I always say, it always comes from a pure heart, then everything's going to be fine anyway. So like I say, part of me was thinking, oh God, people must think I'm absolutely bonkers. And then the other heart was like, well, no, look at Sam. She's clearly responding to this. I think that's what we have to get out of our own way sometimes, and just let whatever is meant to come out, and to be received how it's meant to be received. It's none of our business. We just have to do the work. You know?
That's really lovely.
You feel that you've become more intuitive, because of releasing all that baggage.
And I tell you what has made the biggest difference is I really trust my flipping gut more than I've ever trusted it. Because even this situation that occurred, what we mentioned earlier about sort of, I'd had a treatment and 30 minutes later this situation occurred with a not so pleasant man, and he was the epitome of all the trauma and abuse that I'd received over the years. But going back about a week before, we were kind of in the same holiday letting place, and there was something about him, and I remember said to Sam, it's like, don't like that man, we haven't spoken to him. And then part of me was thinking, oh, you know, maybe I should give people the benefit of the doubt, maybe whatever. But as it happened, I was absolutely bang on the money. He was not a nice person, not a nice man at all. So yeah, I absolutely trust my gut. And then, like I said, we had something with the landlady as well, and she was like the epitome of every female that I'd had an issue with, and that was the same. It was like a ton of bricks coming at you, like falling off a lorry. Bang! Have that, Lisa. You think you're healing? Let's just see if you have. And it was scary. It triggered me beyond belief. It brought back so many things from little Lisa as well. That was really scary, and also for me to actually ask for help, because I said, Sam, could you come and get me, please? Now I don't normally ask for help, so it brought up a lot of this stuff. So yeah, my intuition, I would say I do trust it now. I do trust it.
So Lisa, from like the healing experience that you had from Sam, do you now, because you went out there going, gone through the menopause, didn't know who you were, had all this trauma, so you've released all this trauma. Would you say that you now know who Lisa is? You are like,
I've got a much better understanding of her. I understand her needs, and they change like the weather. Do I really 100% know who I am? I'm a really flipping decent person. I still don't quite know where my direction is, but it's not phasing me too much, because while I'm working on me, and I'm still doing things now, I'm still doing things, I'm actually just going back, do you know what? All of that stuff, I didn't know any different. A lot of forgiveness, been a lot of forgiveness, a massive amount of forgiveness to myself. But yeah, I'm trying to find my words. I really am at peace with myself. I think that's I'm at peace with myself. Nothing really matters. Nothing really matters. And I had this experience when I was in Thailand. I went off for a couple of days because I said to Sam, I just need to just go and do whatever I needed to do. So I went off to Koh Phangan for a couple of days. And I might have said this on the last podcast, actually. And I went to an ecstatic dance, my first one, where you go, they play all the great tunes, but it's about you just dancing for yourself. It's like you're not dancing, attracting anyone. And it's very, very in your own little space, very safe. And I just had this like real epiphany moment. There was a song called Love Is in the Air, like from years and years ago. And yeah, Love Is in the Air, that one. And it was something that my mum and dad used to play at their dinner parties back in the 70s. And I was like, oh God, this is like mum and dad's song from years ago. And I just had this, and it was literally like nothing actually really matters apart from your real close nuclear circle. And I realised who my immediate circle is. We've had a lot of ill health in my family over the last couple of years. And it was like, right, knuckle down, that's them. And I actually came out and I said to somebody, because I knew somebody there, I went, it's only about love, isn't it? That's it. It's just all about love. And he went, you've got the memo. And that was it. And I said, got the memo. So I think the thing is, it's about, for me, and it might sound a bit twee to a certain ear, but it really is all about love, loving yourself and respecting yourself, loving people around you, meeting people where they are at without judgment, because they don't know what they don't know, and that's fine. And always, and I've said this for years, always leave people with the impression of increase. So always leave people feeling better than when you first met them. And it's free. It's free,
Yeah, and you definitely epitomise that, Lisa. And wow, can I just go back to when you said, like I feel at peace. I mean, how many of the people listening, I mean, that would just made me take a big deep breath and drop my shoulders. People listening, how many people would love to just sit and say, I'm at peace with myself? I mean, Sam, when you hear that, what does that do for you? Because like you've been that facilitator, that catalyst to get Lisa to this?
Honestly, it fills my heart with pure joy. And just, I almost cried when you said that. I was like, oh God, my heart, I can't take it. And it makes everything that I've walked through worth it, for sure. Because now I know I can facilitate these spaces. But it's a two-way street. This didn't happen without Lisa. There's no way.
Ready to let go. I mean,
Um,
you could have somebody that goes through an immersive experience and is not ready.
Still holding, and that's also absolutely fine, because
Still
they
gonna
will
get
take
massive benefits, though.
something away from it.
Yeah.
But it's what, just have the courage and the trust. For you, Lise, it was trust, respect, and forgiveness. Massive.
Big time.
Massive.
Yeah,
So
and
incredible.
I just must touch on my heart release. Sam worked on my heart quite a lot, and my little old heart was hiding a lot.
You were hiding. I had to chase your heart. It was
It sounds really bonkers to the average whatever, but we were trying to release my heart, because my heart's been hurt a lot, you know, by myself and by others. But she wasn't coming out to play. She really wasn't. She kept. It was almost like, I don't know, it was like a little squidgy ball going. Whoop, whoop. She knows she doesn't. Right, and it got right through. I kid you not. The last night, and Sam was like, "Right, we're going to work on your TMJ, wasn't it? Your jaw, blah 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 blah." And it was during that process, so working on another part of my body, that suddenly my heart. I sound like it sound bonkers. It just went, and we were like, oh, it's gone, it's released. And I kid you not, and this is something I really do tap into. I don't think I've told you this, Sam. I can vividly remember when my heart did what we'd been trying to get it to do. I don't even know what the term is, but I suddenly thought, oh, that heaviness in my chest is gone. This heaviness that I've been carrying around for years and years, not realizing, suddenly there was a space. It wasn't a void, it was a space. And you know, then you have to fill a space. A void, it's like heavy, but this was a space. It's like something needs to go in there. So I filled it with love.
Yeah.
And it was bonkers, absolutely flipping bonkers, because I felt it. Space, it just opened, and it's massive.
It's incredible. That was such a moment, because we were both like, whoa.
And it's so hard to articulate it so people can maybe imagine, but I don't know if they can. But it's just like, hopefully my enthusiasm, hopefully my just like, wow. And how
it's an energy released, right? And we felt it. Oh my God, how much sage did we burn in those 3 weeks? Yeah, amazing.
Yeah,
it was crazy.
But it's interesting, isn't it? Because we're just living day to day with our bodies, and just, you know, like, because I'm dealing with like some neck stuff and going on here, and you know, I've had it for about a week, and now I'm kind of just getting used to just having this neck issue. And how many of us are walking around with that tiredness, with that sluggishness, with that closed heart, but it's we don't know it's a closed heart, but we just feel a heaviness in our body. And we think that's we think that's normal. That's not normal. We're not here to have this heaviness, to have these aches and pains and achy joints and sore muscles and tight jaw. That's all energy that we are holding on to from our past and from our past and previous lives. And you know, sit there, because a lot of the time when I've heard about, you know, like people having traumas, and I'm like, well, I had a really lovely childhood. I didn't have any traumas. But you know, traumas come in different sizes, and traumas can be, you know, somebody you know, like you standing up in primary school, you know, with an amazing story to read, and somebody laughs over there, and you make a drink, and that's energy that gets trapped in your body. And then you go about life, and you know, you go for a breakup, that's another tea that's you know, and all these big T's, little T's, they all build up, and we wonder why we're achy joints and tired and all this sort of stuff. And that's not how we're supposed to be. So Sam, with her amazing modalities and amazing gifts that she has, and you know, I've had the pleasure, I think we call it, you know, that's probably not the right word, but I have had the pleasure of, you know, experiencing some of Sam's gifts, and it really is a gift to Sam's. I mean, she's just incredibly intuitive, incredibly compassionate and caring. And like you say, Lise, that you feel so safe in her presence. And this is your calling, Sam, without a shadow of a doubt. And, you know, I just really want to honor you for your courage, for everything that you've stepped through in your life, because it's been one hell of a journey for you to get to where you are. But now I see it for you, that it's all been so worth it, because this is what you're here to do. You know, your soul's path, your soul's calling is this, just because of the way you are and the way, you know, you release, and just listening to Lisa and her experience. So anybody that gets to work with you, Sam, is incredibly blessed.
Yeah.
Is in for, well, you've just heard Lisa's, you know, journey of expansion, because you took that path.
Yeah, I need to add this. It's just come back. When anyone, myself specifically, steps into this, you're not just healing yourself, you're healing up and you're healing down.
Yes.
And I came home, even while I was there, Sam was witness to this, things shifted with my immediate family immediately. Just the way there was more compassion towards my upbringing. There was a different kind of bond with my kids, and you could see it going like literally filtering up and down. And since that time, you know, like my family health has been pretty horrendous 2023, but we've all met each other with compassion rather than stressing out, because we had a similar situation the year before and that was crazy. This one is like, right, okay, it was more practical, it was more loving. The conversations that I've had with my parents about a death have been incredible. Some people don't ever get that opportunity, and I've just felt brave enough, safe enough, and I've been met with beautiful conversation. So I think it's really important to remember that you're healing up and down your lineage. And it's very special, very, very special.
So beautiful.
That's stunning. Wow.
Thank you, darlings.
Thank you. So Lisa, you're going back over to Mexico for round 2. Ding, 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 ding. Lisa, what's your intention? What's the intention for this? Because like you said, you know, it's about
packing my bag, because I'm still looking at my intention. I'm very aware that I cannot replicate anything from the last trip. I know that I've removed a lot, so there's a beautiful space to fill up with whatever comes next. I think for me, which I've mentioned to Sam, I really just want to work on like my sacral area. I've been in such masculine energy all my life, you know, with the kids, bringing them up, mainly single parent, blah, blah. I just want to step more into my femininity. I think that's one of the things. And be around loads of water. I just need to be around water. But I'm open, like I was last time. I'm like, okay, let's the stranger the better. Come on, let's go. What's happening? What are we doing?
Be careful what you wish for, darling.
You said that to me the other day. They were like, be careful how you phrase that. I was like, yeah, okay. So
yeah. But I think that's really great, isn't it? You go with an intention, but then release it and just go, okay, there's my intention. I'll put it out there to the ether. Let's just see what comes.
And I do find that, you know, I really do. One of my favourite sayings at the minute is like, you know, I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. I don't know. So, but it's fine, because that's all on the peripheral, but the essence of who I am is flipping decent. So it doesn't really matter, if that makes sense, you know. And I don't feel my age, so I listen to people sort of talking about, oh, they're going to do this and they're going to do this, and I'm thinking, well, you're in your 20s, I'm like in my 50s, so of course you're going to be like that. I don't care as long as I'm happy and my kids are okay and my family, you know. I don't know, but it'll be an adventure. It'll be fab.
Let's see.
It's definitely going to be an adventure. The other thing that just popped up is you definitely found play.
That's
your
true.
inner child came out and played, and it was just, she was beautiful, man. Just so playful and cheeky, right?
Minx, I know.
Cheeky little you. And I just want to touch on something that you just said about wanting to now step into your feminine more. And one of the reasons I came back to Mexico was for the feminine energy, because I found myself personally, Thailand, to be quite masculine, and certain energies. I missed the Mexican energy. And where I am now in Bacala is right on the Laguna of 7 colors, 7 blues. It's full of this is the right time for you to come to Mexico. You can see it so perfectly. It's amazing. And the energies here are wonderful. And there's, all of the stuff that we've touched on about. There's more ecstatic dance here. There's more ceremony here. There's a really interesting spiritual community. So I think that's what we're going to explore when you get here.
Perfect.
So does Mexico feel true for you, Lisa?
Yeah, it does. It does.
Fine.
Yeah, and I think it's important to still mention. I still feel nervous. I still feel, because I know I'm properly stepping out, but it's been the most bizarre year. It's been incredible from my experience from Thailand, but it's been one hell of an emotional roller coaster with other aspects of family and stuff that we're stepping through as a family at the moment. It's been pretty horrendous. So it's also great because I'm going to be stepping into more of what I want, but also it's going to be a real boost for my mental health as well. Massive boost as well. But nothing is mistimed, is it? If we really go into how life is, nothing is mistimed. Everything is exactly how it should be, and I think that's also, like I say, that's the trust that I've got now. Well, this was going to happen anyway, so just crack on. Let's do it.
Wow.
So
well done for having the courage to trust, because that's and trust your inner guidance, because that's not an easy thing to do, and you're allowing to be pulled along to where you're supposed to.
Following my nose.
Oh, we can't wait to hit. Well, obviously we're gonna have to have you on again to hear about the Mexico experience.
Mexico adventures. Maybe we could do something together whilst you're here, hon. That would be lovely.
Good. Yeah,
that'd be really nice.
That's for sure. Oh, Sam, do you want to add anything before we close this?
Just thank you, darling, for sharing your heart and having the courage to step into your beautiful true self. It's a magical thing to be a part of and witness, and I just feel very blessed. So thank you.
Thank you too, my darling.
So Sam, for people listening to this and going, oh my goodness, I want to hear more. What I mean, obviously they can find you on social media, but can you just remind people, because I know we're talking about we're on our podcast, but for people that have just sort of stumbled across this, how can people get in touch with you? How can they find out more about the work that you're doing?
Thank you, honey. So I'm out in Mexico. Myself and my dear friend and business partner Romana have Casa Samana, so the House of Sam and Romana. And we have a healing center here in Bacala. So we provide immersion retreats here. We are also going to be doing an online version of that as well. We just have a client is about to start that process. So some people can't leave their homes through physical necessity. So we're doing some stuff with that. And then I'll also be in the UK, which I'm super excited about. May, June, July, August. So I'll be over there then doing some retreats. Kirsty and I are going to have some kind of Rights Tribe festival. So I'll be back there as well. But the best place to go is casasamana.com. It's got all of the information about everything that we do there in terms of the natural health practitioner and bodywork stuff. So yeah, find us there.
Yeah, amazing. And it's not even that, you know, you could also find out about nutrition and what food is best to eat with what. That's been a big journey that I've been on.
Yeah, it's multifaceted, this work, right? And it's so many different components, and it took me a really long time to pull it all together and kind of work out how it all worked together, because from the outside just looked, I was off doing random stuff, which I kind of was in a way, but it's all now just weaved in to this kind of multifaceted package of loveliness. So yeah, and it's all on there, so thank you.
Incredible. We'll add all the links anyway, so
Add it to the show notes.
you can go and have a mooch and have a nosy. And anybody that wants to get in touch with Lisa, you know, if you want to talk more to Lisa about her experience, Lisa, where can we find you?
Probably the best place would probably be DM me on Instagram, which is at lisa.hawkyard. I'm not very active on social media, but I will check my DMs. So if anybody wants to have a chat, that's probably the most direct place.
Amazing. We'll put that in as well. This has been so lovely, guys.
Yeah.
It's just so great. I mean, because I've heard some of your journey over in Thailand, but yeah, it's just really lovely you're just so lit up, Lisa, you know, when you speak about your experience.
I loved it.
You know, you just light up. So I think that's just testimony to the work that Sam's done with you, the work, you know, the relationship you two have got, and yeah, it's incredible.
Thank you. Incredible. This has been lovely. Thanks, girls.
It's so good. I love what we do.
Oh, it's great, isn't it? And I'm trusting everybody that's listening, you know, just feels part of this conversation. You know, you're not on the phone, you are, you know, you are. You're here. You're all here with us in this conversation. So please reach out to Sam, reach out to Lisa, you know, and find out more. This, you know, you may be listening going, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do what Lisa did. I couldn't go over to Mexico. I couldn't go over to Thailand for 4 weeks, 3 weeks. But do you know what? Because you got family, whatever, but maybe doing that, as Lisa said, you know, you healing yourself is also healing your relationships with your family up and down. So where there's a will, there's always a way. So yeah, reach out to Lisa, reach out to Sam, find out more. And like I said, anyone that's got the privilege of working with Sam's in for an absolute treat. So we will leave it there. So have a great evening. Thank you, everybody, for listening. If you've got any comments, anything you want to share, any takeaways, please drop them in the comments. It's always really lovely to hear your thoughts. So have a great evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you are in the world. And thanks again, Lisa, for coming on and sharing your life, sharing your heart and experience. And thanks, Sam, always for just being you and, yeah, finding your genius where you are.
Thank you so much. And yeah, just thanks everyone for listening. And Lisa, I'll see you in 3 weeks.
Better go and pack.
So excited. I can't wait. All right, guys, thank you so much. And we'll see you in the next episode.
Loads of love. Bye.
Bye.